Welcome to Strip Cover Lit. I'm Adrian Fort.
And I'm Dalton Gentry.
And we are here with you today for our Booktuber Newbie Tag.
Because we're new to the world of booktubing.
3 weeks in.
3 weeks in, we've just got to start, so we figured why not reach out to the community.
Thank you to the Secret Stacks, by the way.
Yes.
For exposing our stupidity.
Yeah, we don't know how the internet actually works.
Yeah.
But we do like books. So, Adrian, first question in the tag is, why did you start this channel?
The honest answer is that I long to live a life of letters. I want this to be, reading and writing are two things that I'm going to be doing anyway. If I can find some way to create community within that niche, that's honestly what I'm here for. That's what I strive to do with my life. So I think that begs the question, Dalton, why did you join me on this venture?
Because you told me to. I mean, let's be honest, that's how it works. No, I mean, we graduated from Missouri Western in 2012, and it feels unfulfilled. You can read, you can write all you want, but you lose that writing and reading community. So when you pitched this to me, I was all on board for that. This is an exciting notion.
And a little bit of backstory. I am Dalton's Tyler Durden. I've been that way since we met each other. And when I first pitched this idea to him, I completely expected him to say, Adrian, leave me alone. You haven't texted me in 6 months, go back to that.
Yes.
Because that's how our academic career went.
That's how my personal life is going now, because it's just simple things like, hey, Dalton, when we do this tag video that you found that's a good idea, why don't we smoke cigars? And, well, I guess that here we are.
You love it.
I know.
Question two.
Question two. Let me pull it back up because I suck at preparing for this. What are some fun and unique things that we can bring to the BookTube community?
Cigars and smoking jackets. I think that's a good start.
I think a different outlook on things. I think the BookTube community is heavily focused on young adult literature right now. There's nothing wrong with young adult literature. But we want to bring a new light to things.
Right.
Let's talk about something else.
We are 3 weeks in.
Yes.
So we are slightly lying with the newbie tag, but we haven't done any young adult literature yet.
I have full intentions of doing John Green.
Right.
Because I love John Green.
Okay.
We don't have to go into John Green, but I'm going to drag you down with that.
That's fine. I want to read everything.
And we should. As a reader, you should want to read everything.
And I think that we plan to. Within the coming weeks, we have the Infinity Gauntlet planned. We've done short stories. We're trying to figure out how to branch into poetry. So we've tried to diversify, and I'm not against young adult literature.
Yeah.
We just haven't. I like Feed by M.T. Anderson, I believe. Big fan of that novel.
I like literature.
Yeah, so...
Any good writing is good writing.
Right.
Easy as that. What are you most excited about?
And bad writing is worth reading.
Yeah.
What am I most excited about?
Yeah.
Community. Honestly, community. It is hard to make a sustainable... to gather a sustainable writers group.
Yes.
I haven't been able to do it since I lived in St. Joe. And I miss it.
And I think what we are really pushing starting this channel is not just a community for BookTube, a community for artists, especially in the Kansas City area where we're from. I mean, we want to feature local art. We'd love to feature local musicians. I mean, this is the bohemian spirit, the lost generation gathering together, and let's celebrate art. Let's celebrate your thing.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
Whatever
it's beautiful.
it is. Whatever it is. So what's number 4?
I don't know. Number 4, Mr. Adrian.
It's your video.
I know. Why do you love reading?
I don't love reading.
It was very, very dark and very ominous.
I have to read.
Okay.
It's a part of me. No, I love reading because there's so many experiences that you get inside the pages, and they can be the same pages, and the next time you read it, it'll be something completely different. There are varying degrees of that, story to story, writer to writer. But to be able to live 1,000 lives in a day simply through someone else's words is that's art, right? That's what we strive for.
And that's the beauty of art, and I think that's a good explanation of why you love reading is why do you love art? It's seeing the world from someone else's perspective. And there's so much to it. This is an emotional appeal. It's everything encapsulated. That's hard to define for me is why you enjoy reading.
Well, and I think this harkens back also to the what are the new and unique things that you can bring to Booktube. We're bringing an element of writing as well.
Yes.
Right?
Which we haven't been able to find many booktubers who are focused on writing.
Right. And that's a good 50% of our focus here.
Yes.
So I think that community, the readers community and the writers community, rely heavily on each other, right?
And to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader.
To be a good reader,
you have to be a good writer.
You don't have to.
Well,
It helps.
It helps.
It helps you see what the artist, the writer was going for.
All right, Adrian, so now that we've established why you love reading, what is a book or a book series that got you into reading? You want me to spearhead this one?
Go ahead.
If I go to my childhood,
Okay.
I was born in 1990. I'm 25.
Youngins.
An old man in the booktube community, but yes.
I'm 30,
You're
so-
30. Harry Potter. That was my childhood. That was the first major series where I looked forward. I went out on midnight to read those books. I went to the movies. I did everything. That was big to me. In high school, it was being introduced by, we'll get here soon, and Miss Harper was my high school literature teacher. I'm going to shout out to her there. It was being introduced to Flowers for Algernon, being introduced to Shakespeare. She actually lent me a John Green book. She said, you should read Looking for Alaska. And I loved it. So that got me into everything. That got me into this life. I went to college for literature. That's what I wanted.
I'll answer this question a little bit in phases, I think, because thinking back to childhood, I was huge on Bernstein Bears.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was addicted to those things. My mother had to rip them from my hands.
It's Dr. Seuss. Do
Right,
you ever
I
have a
would-
feeling there's a wasket in your basket?
No.
Or a neuro in your burrow? Or a was in your
haven't.
closet?
Have you?
I have problems. Carry on.
After that, I mean, that's what set me up as a reader. So I would voraciously read things when I was younger. The next wave of revelation for me came, like you said, with Flowers for Algernon.
Yeah.
The short story in middle school and then the novel in high school. That was revolutionary for me, a revelation. And then again in college. Hold on. Over a 3-day weekend, I believe, I read Slaughterhouse-Five. I had never read it. I had never read any Vonnegut. I had never touched anything like that. Couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
I read it like once and a half in a 3-day weekend. And that sold me again on what writing is, because I had sold out sort of... before I had made the journey off to college, I was still at community college, and a lot of the outside reading that I did were biographies, were history books, things like that. Then when I went and I started taking literature courses, I was reading, poetry from the 1500s and 1600s and Shakespeare, and it didn't excite me.
It's hard to find your niche.
Right. But once you find a niche, you, well, I don't know, I'm just saying the pretentious way because I can. Once you find that niche, you flower out into all these other fields, and Shakespeare becomes more enjoyable, and all of these other things become more enjoyable. And then shortly after that, Kinsley, if you're watching this, let me borrow Fight Club and completely resold me on the idea of literature, not writing, literature, as an ever-evolving landscape, because Fight Club is literature.
So, Kinsley, Miss Harper, I assume both of you will probably give this a view at one point. Thank you for doing this to us, or however you want to take it. But
For doing this to anyone who is watching this video, I think.
and you know, that's a great thing, though, is to introduce someone to the world of literature like that. Adrian, if you could ask your favorite booktuber a question, what would it be?
I love to know people's favorite quotes from larger pieces, because I think that it is in that meta that an understanding of that person's love for literature springs forth.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I like that answer.
That is a good answer. What color foundation would make my eyes pop? It seems like a lot of people in the booktube community do makeup as well, so
We'll get there, Dalton.
we'll get there eventually, hopefully, with Adrian and Dalton perform makeup tutorials as seasoned booktubing professionals. All right, next question. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I think we can answer this one honestly. We've been here.
I don't have the internet. I don't have connections with the outside world.
This man walks to the library to use Twitter. It's the most backwards thing I've ever seen. It's amazing.
That's not fair.
I started an Instagram account for us, and he has referred to it as Instantgram all day. I don't want to correct him. It's just delightful.
Just what is it a gram of? Is it a gram of picture? Is it a gram of foodie picture? Is that what this thing is?
And, you know, that's just the technical aspect of things. It is kind of difficult. I mean, I don't have great editing knowledge. I don't know a lot about cameras. That was our first challenge, was finding a camera, which we were completely clueless on.
Thank you to random guy at Target.
Yes,
by
thank
the
you,
way.
Target guy, for putting us in the right direction so we could go across the street and buy from your competitors.
Target or Best Buy, if you'd like to sponsor this video, get a hold of us on Twitter at @StrippedCover.
Look at that. See, he's dropping Twitter subscribes.
This coming from a man who, honestly, if I can share something embarrassing,
I would love it.
I don't know how to answer my phone. I've gotten, hold on, it's a fairly new phone. I've only had it for about 5 months. And I got a call once from one of my uncles. I was driving, almost killed 3 people. Still don't know how to answer the phone.
That makes me just amazingly proud of you. When did you start reading? That's a difficult question. That really is.
I think if I'm allowed to get philosophical on this.
Ooh.
What do you mean by reading? Do you mean reading texts? Do you mean reading people? Do you mean reading situations?
I don't think you can pinpoint, though, the time you started reading text. Like I said, I remember Harry Potter being early.
Right.
I remember the book fair when I was like in grade school, and that was the most exciting thing ever to me. It was just to go and look at the books. I still have that problem if I go into a bookstore. I never leave.
Here's the thing that's interesting about that. I never got books from the book fair. Not often. I don't mean to disparage my situation, but never really was able to get books from the book fair. Somehow it was more exciting than going to the library.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the thing. As I got older, very recently actually, I realized I love libraries. I can go and take any of these books and read them and not have to pay you. That's gold. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I am a connoisseur of libraries.
Absolutely. Okay, where do you read? I
think the correct answer to this is yes.
Yes.
If I've been there, I've read there. If I am there, I read there.
And that's a great writing strategy. You should always have your book with you.
Something. That's actually one of the great parts of memorizing poetry. I died for beauty, but was scarce adjusted in the tomb. When one who died for truth was lain in an adjoining room, he questioned softly why I failed. For beauty, I replied, and I for truth, the two are one, we brethren are, he said. And so, as kinsmen met at night, we talked between the rooms.
I hate you.
Until the moss had reached our lips.
I can't tell you
and
how much I
covered up
hate
our
you right
names.
now. I hate you so much.
That's Emily Dickinson, by the way.
I know it's Emily Dickinson, by the way. But yeah, if you're somewhere, you should be reading. If I'm at home, I've got my chair, my lamp. I'm an old man. It's a lazy boy. I recline back. That's my go-to spot if I'm at home.
We should issue that Booktuber challenge. Memorize a poem. Memorize and perform a poem.
Yes, and once you have a poem by memory, tag us in it and let us hear it.
Yeah.
I think we could definitely get that together. We could do a little reciting ourselves.
And let us know in the comments below which poems you have memorized.
Emily Dickinson's off limit. You can't do Emily Dickinson.
Emily Dickinson's mine.
Oh, that's awful.
I'm in love with Emily Dickinson.
Finally, Adrian, let's wrap this up with what kind of books do you read? If you want to go with yes again.
Yes. I think that's an interesting... That was tobacco. That's an interesting question, too, because I think it plays into your larger reading strategy. I think that it is important to cycle through fiction, nonfiction, poetry. I try to always have... Because I'm a big fan of setting a page limit per day. Like, I want to read 25 pages every day.
Which is great. Great to do.
Some days you work that overlaps with your 600 words of writing that you've got to do that day. You had to go to the grocery store, ... Poetry, though it is no smaller an investment, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, it is a briefer read. Especially with, I mean, there's a lot of poetry books that have a lot of white space in them, but poetry is big for helping me keep on course page-wise.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I've recently gotten into poetry a little bit. Nonfiction, I'm a fan. I read Kiss Me Like a Stranger, Gene Wilder's biography not long ago.
Beautiful,
Loved
by the way.
And fiction, I'm a big fan. I worked at a bookstore for a long time. I started picking up, I like to call them trashy sci-fi novels, because you always hear trashy romance novels. But the series novels, Forgotten Realms, Wheel of Time series. Great pieces of literature, but a different genre, a more pop lit style.
Right.
A good, easy entertainment read.
Yeah.
But besides that, just anything. I mean, we have our favorites. Obviously, Ernest Hemingway, if you've watched any of the videos. Chuck Palahniuk.
That's my boy.
Has been big for us.
We've done a lot of Stephen King already as well. Like I've said in some of these other videos, I am not a Stephen King fan per se. I think it's good practice to keep up on Stephen King. I mean, the guy publishes 19 novels a year, so...
So that's us. That's Strip Cover Lit in a nutshell. We're excited to be in the Booktube community. We want to bring something different to the Booktube community. If you can still see us in the cigar smoke right now, we're trying to encapsulate something different.
Thanks for the cigars, by the way, Gabe. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, give us a follow at Strip Cover on Twitter. Hit the subscribe button, please. And we're excited.
We've got an Instagram.
We have an Instagram. And shoot us some comments below. What do you want to see from us? What do you want to see different?
We exist.
Yeah.
What is existence?
Let's do this thing.
Who are we?